The dark Pacific waters swelled beneath the research vessel horizon. Alan Carter stood on the observation deck, watching the dawn light break over the endless ocean. Today was not a normal day. The ship was racing toward something that had fallen. From space, something that wasn't supposed to exist. Alan had joined the Horizon's crew just 3 months ago. At 32, he was the youngest xenobiologist on the international team. Most of his colleagues had spent decades studying theoretical alien biology. Alan was different. He had spent his career looking at Earth's strangest creatures, believing that understanding the extremes of life on our planet was the key to recognizing life from other worlds. "Carter, report to the bridge," crackled the voice over the intercom. "We're approaching the crash site." The bridge buzzed with activity when Alan arrived. Captain Lisa Frost stood by the main display, her gray eyes fixed on the radar image. "There it is," she said, pointing to a blinking dot. "Came down about 6 hours ago. Too controlled for a meteor, too small for a satellite." Alan leaned closer to the screen. "Any signs of radiation? Biological contamination?" "Nothing dangerous on our scans," said Frank Wu, the ship's lead engineer. "But there's something else." He tapped a few buttons, and a new reading appeared. "We're picking up unusual energy patterns, and there's this." He played an audio file that sounded like gentle humming mixed with clicks. "That's not random," Alan said. The hairs on his arms stood up. "That's a pattern. That could be communication." Captain Frost straightened her uniform. "The recovery team launches in 30 minutes, Dr. Carter. Given your expertise, I want you on that team." The small recovery boat bounced over the waves as it approached the crash site. Alan wore a hazmat suit like the others, but somehow it felt inadequate for what they might find. The team included 6 people, 2 security officers, 2 engineers, a medical doctor, and Alan. "There," said Maria Diaz, one of the engineers, pointing ahead. Something metallic gleamed in the water. It wasn't large, maybe the size of a small car, but its smooth, oval shape was clearly not natural. As they got closer, Alan could see that the object was damaged. A large crack ran along one side, and strange, colorful liquid leaked into the ocean water. "That's not engine fuel," Alan said, taking readings with his handheld scanner. "The chemical makeup is ... organic." The team carefully approached the object, securing it with special cables. The security officers kept their distance, hands near their weapons, while the engineers worked to stabilize the craft. "I'm getting life signs," said Dr. Wendy Patel, the medical officer. "Faint, but definitely there." Alan moved to the crack in the hull. Through it, he could see a dim interior lit by flickering blue lights. And there, strapped to what looked like a control chair, was something that made his heart stop. It was alive. It was injured. And it was definitely not from Earth. The creature had a body covered in scales that shifted color like oil on water. It had 6 limbs, too, that looked like arms ending in 4-fingered hands. 2 middle limbs that were thinner, and 2 lower limbs that resembled legs. Its head was slightly elongated with no visible ears, but large, multifaceted eyes that reminded Alan of insect eyes, except they were a deep purple color. "My God," whispered Wendy. "It's beautiful," Alan finished for her. The creature's eyes flickered, focusing on the humans. It made a soft trilling sound, followed by clicks. One of its upper limbs moved weakly, pointing to a small device attached to its body. "I think that's some kind of translator," Alan said, "or communication device." Maria carefully reached through the crack and touched the device. It lit up, projecting strange symbols into the air, which quickly changed to English. Letters, help ... injured. Scout of Vex a re ... teasful ... The words appeared choppy and incomplete. "We need to get them out of there," Alan said. "The craft is taking on water." The next hour was tense. The engineers carefully cut open the damaged hull while Wendy monitored the alien's vital signs, which were growing weaker. When they finally created an opening large enough, Alan and Wendy climbed inside. The interior of the craft was filled with instruments unlike anything Alan had seen. Displays showed star charts and data in the alien's writing, but he focused on the injured being. The restraints look like they're designed to release, Alan said, examining the chair. Here. He pressed what looked like a glowing panel, and the restraints retracted. The alien made a sound like a soft whistle. The translation device lit up again. Gratitude, Stellar Whisper. Name ... Stellar Whisper, Alan repeated. Is that your name? The alien's eyes blinked in what seemed like affirmation. Moving the injured alien was difficult. They had no idea what might cause further harm. Wendy did her best to stabilize the most obvious injuries, a deep cut on one of the middle limbs and what appeared to be burns across the torso. Once they had Stellar Whisper secured in the recovery boat, they attached tow lines to the alien craft and began the journey back to the horizon. What do you think happened? Maria asked as they traveled. Alan looked at the alien, who had fallen unconscious but was breathing steadily. Some kind of malfunction, maybe, or an accident? The ship doesn't show signs of weapons damage. Back on the horizon, they set up a special quarantine area in the medical bay. Captain Frost contacted government authorities who were sending specialists. But for now, it was up to the ship's crew to keep their visitor alive. Wendy did everything she could, but alien biology wasn't something covered in medical school. I can treat the wounds I can see, she told Alan, but I have no idea what's happening inside. The translator device continued to provide limited communication when Stellar Whisper was conscious. They learned that the pronouns seemed appropriate. Based on the translations was a scout mapping this region of space. Her people, the VetHFY, were a spacefaring civilization from a star system about 40 light-years from Earth on the third day. As Alan was monitoring Stellar Whisper's condition, the ship's alarm sounded. Unidentified object approaching Earth. Orbit, announced the captain over the intercom. All hands to stations. Alan watched the main screen in the medical bay as it showed a large ship entering Earth's orbit. It was clearly of the same design as Stellar Whisper's craft, but much larger. They've come for her? Alan said. The alien's eyes opened, focusing on the screen. The translator flickered. My people... They come ... Within hours, Earth's governments had established communication with the VetHFY ship. They agreed to allow a medical team to come to the horizon to treat their injured scout. For Alan Carter, everything he had studied and prepared for was about to become real. Humanity's first official contact with an alien civilization was happening, and he was at the center of it. The arrival of the VetHFY medical ship changed everything on the horizon. Earth's governments had agreed to allow 5 alien medical specialists to board the research vessel. Security teams from 3 different countries were also sent to the ship, though they were told to remain friendly and non-threatening. Alan Carter watched from the observation deck as the alien shuttle approached. It was smaller than he expected, about the size of a bus, with the same smooth oval design as Stellar Whisper's craft. The shuttle's surface shimmered with colors that seemed to flow like water. Nervous? Asked Dr. Wendy Patel, who stood beside him. Alan nodded. A little, you? Terrified, she admitted with a small laugh. But excited too. We're about to meet alien doctors. Think of what we could learn. The shuttle docked with the horizon using a special airlock system that engineers had worked around the clock to build. Captain Frost led the welcoming party, with Alan and Wendy included because of their work with Stellar Whisper. When the airlock doors opened, Alan held his breath. 5 VetHFY emerged. They were similar to Stellar Whisper in their basic form: 6 limbs, iridescent scales, large purple eyes, but each had unique patterns on their scales. They wore what appeared to be thin, metallic vests with various devices attached. The tallest VetHFY stepped forward. A small device on its vest lit up, and a voice came from it, mechanical but clear. I am Life Mender, Chief Physician of the VetHFY. Medical Corps, we have come for our scout, Stellar Whisper. Captain Frost bowed slightly. Welcome to Earth's research vessel Horizon. I am Captain Lisa Frost. We have been caring for your scout as best we can, but we lack knowledge of your biology. Life Mender's eyes blinked in a pattern that Alan was beginning to recognize as thoughtful. We appreciate your efforts. Our species has never made contact with yours before. You have shown great kindness to help one not of your kind. Alan was surprised by how well the translation device worked. It seemed the VetHFY had studied Earth's languages while approaching. This is Dr. Wendy Patel, our medical officer, and Dr. Alan Carter, our xenobiologist, Captain Frost continued. They have been directly involved in Stellar Whisper's care. The alien doctor turned to them. You have our gratitude. Please take US to our injured one. The medical bay had been expanded to accommodate the alien doctors and their equipment. Stellar Whisper lay on a special bed, her condition stable, but still weak. When she saw her people, she made a series of melodic clicks and whistles that the translation device didn't convert. She speaks the personal dialect, explained Life Mender. It means she is happy to see us. The VetHFY medical team quickly set up their equipment around Stellar Whisper. The devices were unlike anything Alan had seen. Some projected colored lights over the injured alien's body, while others created holographic displays showing what Alan assumed were her internal organs. Alan and Wendy stood back, watching the alien doctor's work. They spoke to each other in their clicking language, occasionally using their middle limbs to adjust equipment while their upper limbs examined. Stellar whispered. After 3 hours of examination and treatment, Life Mender approached the humans. The alien's color had shifted to a deeper blue, which Alan guessed might indicate concern. I must speak plainly, Life Mender said. Stellar Whisper's condition is grave. She has damage to several vital organs that our scans have identified. Can you repair them? Wendy asked. The alien made a gesture with its upper limbs that seemed like a negative. The damage is extensive. Her primary circulation system is failing, and her neural pathways show signs of degradation. We have tried our regeneration treatments, but her body rejects them. Alan stepped forward. What does that mean exactly? It means, Life Mender said slowly, that we have done all that is possible within our medical understanding. Stellar Whisper will not survive more than a few of your Earth days. The news hit Alan hard. He had spent every day with the injured alien since her rescue. Though their communication was limited, he had come to respect her. Through the translator, she had shared stories of her explorations and shown genuine interest in learning about Earth. There must be something else you can try, Alan said. Life Mender's scales rippled in a pattern that conveyed sadness. We have tried all treatments known to VetHFY medicine. Her injuries are too severe, and there are complications we do not understand. Perhaps the exposure to your planet's environment has affected her healing abilities. Captain Frost asked, What will happen now? We will make her comfortable for her final journey to the eternal stars, Life Mender explained. It is our way to prepare a ceremonial death chamber where she can be at peace. We request permission to create such a space. Here on your vessel, the captain nodded. Of course. Whatever you need. The VetHFY spent the next several hours transforming a section of the medical bay into what they called a passage chamber. They filled it with soft, glowing crystals and devices that played gentle sounds. The air was infused with a sweet scent that the alien said would comfort Stellar Whisper. Once she was moved to the chamber, the VetHFY medical team returned to their shuttle. Life Mender explained they needed to prepare for what they called the honorable retrieval of remains and would return the next day. That night, Alan sat alone in the observation area of the medical bay. Through the glass he could see Stellar Whisper in the passage chamber. The glowing crystals cast a peaceful blue light over her. She seemed to be sleeping, but the monitors showed her life signs were growing weaker. As he watched, Alan noticed something strange on one of the human monitors they had kept connected to her. Her cellular readings showed patterns he hadn't seen before. He pulled up the records from previous days and compared them. That's odd, he muttered to himself. The patterns of her cellular deterioration weren't consistent with what he would expect from traumatic injury. There was something else happening at a biological level that seemed familiar to him, though he couldn't quite place it. Alan spent the next few hours reviewing everything they had learned about VetHFY biology. The aliens had shared some basic information, though much of it was still difficult to understand. But the more he studied, the more Alan became convinced that something was being missed. At 3 a.m. He suddenly sat up straight, eyes wide with realization. Her metabolism, her tissue regeneration patterns, he said aloud to the empty room. They are similar to Earth's monitor lizards. He quickly gathered his notes and headed for Dr. Patel's quarters. This couldn't wait until morning. If he was? Right. There might still be a chance to save Stellar Whisper, but it would require thinking far outside conventional medicine. Whether human or VetHFY, Alan knew his idea would sound crazy. But as he hurried through the quiet corridors of the ship, he became more certain. Sometimes the answer to a problem came from the most unexpected places. And sometimes, to save a life, you had to be willing to try something that no one else had considered. Alan knocked on Dr. Wendy Patel's door, not caring that it was the middle of the night. After a minute, she opened it, her hair messy from sleep and her eyes half closed. Alan, it's 3:30 in the morning. What's wrong? I think I know how to save. Stellar Whisper, he said, his words coming out in a rush. Can I come in? I need to show you something. Wendy rubbed her eyes but stepped aside. Alan hurried in and spread his notes and tablet on her small desk. Look at these cellular patterns, he said, pointing to the screen. Now look at these. He pulled up another image. What am I looking at? Wendy asked, still trying to wake up fully. The first is Stellar Whisper's tissue samples from yesterday. The second is from a Komodo dragon with a severe infection that I studied 3 years ago. Wendy looked more closely. They do look similar. But what does that mean? Alan paced the small room. The VetHFY evolved on a different planet. Their medical knowledge is based on their own evolutionary path. But what if their approach is too similar to human medicine? What if we're all missing something because we're thinking about this wrong? Slow down, Wendy said. What exactly are you suggesting? The VetHFY said Stellar Whisper's body is rejecting their treatments. It looks like an immune response gone wrong. Earth reptiles sometimes have similar reactions. Their immune systems can overreact to certain treatments, especially when stressed or injured. Wendy was fully awake now. So you think the VetHFY treatments are making things worse? Not exactly. Worse, Alan explained, just not better. They're treating the symptoms but missing the underlying problem. Stellar Whisper's biology is shutting down because it's in a defensive mode like some reptiles do when severely injured. Okay, but what can we do about it? We know even less about VetHFY biology than their own doctors. Alan took a deep breath. I know someone who might have insight that the VetHFY doctors don't. Someone who specializes in treating beings with biology similar to Stellar Whisper's, at least more similar than human biology. Who? Dr. Olivia Martinez. She was my college roommate. Now she's one of the world's top veterinary herpetologists. At the San Diego Zoo, she specializes in reptile medicine. Wendy stared at him. You want to call a vet for an alien? Alan, the VetHFY would be insulted. They're an advanced spacefaring civilization. I know how it sounds, Alan said. But Olivia has saved species that were on the brink of extinction. She understands how reptilian bodies work in ways that most human doctors don't, and right now, Stellar Whisper is dying. What do we have to lose? After a long moment, Wendy nodded. We should talk to Captain Frost first. Captain Lisa Frost listened to Alan's theory in her office as the sun began to rise over the Pacific. She remained silent until he finished. Let me make sure I understand, she said finally. You want to bring a veterinarian onto this ship too? Treat an alien being because you think VetHFY biology is similar to Earth reptiles? Yes, ma'am, Alan replied. Dr. Martinez is the best in her field. She's developed treatments for reptiles that no one else has tried, and you think the VetHFY will agree to this? They might not, Alan admitted. But Stellar Whisper is dying. They've admitted they can't save her. This might be her only chance. Captain Frost tapped her fingers on her desk. The diplomatic implications are complicated. We've just made first contact with an advanced alien species, and you want to suggest their doctors aren't good enough? Not that they aren't good enough, Alan clarified. Just that they might benefit from a different perspective. Medical approaches are shaped by evolutionary history. The VetHFY only have experience with their own biology. Dr. Martinez has treated hundreds of different species. After a long silence, Captain Frost nodded. Make the call to Dr. Martinez. I'll speak with Life Mender when they return this morning. Alan returned to the medical bay and checked on Stellar Whisper. Her condition had worsened overnight. Her scales had dulled and her breathing was shallow. He placed a hand gently on the glass separating them. Hang on, he whispered. We're not giving up on you. 2 hours later, the VetHFY shuttle returned to the horizon. Life Mender and 2 other VetHFY doctors came to check on Stellar Whisper. Their scales darkened when they saw her condition. The passage will be soon, Life Mender said solemnly. We will begin the final rituals. Captain Frost approached the alien doctor. Life Mender, before you proceed, one of our scientists has a suggestion that might help Stellar Whisper. The alien's multifaceted eyes turned to her. We have tried all possible treatments known to VetHFY medicine. We understand, the captain said. But Dr. Carter has identified similarities between VetHFY biology and certain Earth species. He believes a specialist in those species might have insights your doctors don't. Life Mender's upper limbs moved in what Alan had come to recognize as a gesture of confusion. What kind of specialist? Alan stepped forward. A veterinary herpetologist? A doctor who treats reptiles and similar species on Earth? The translator device paused as if struggling with the concept. Then the VetHFY scales flashed a bright red. You suggest we allow a doctor of non-sentient creatures to treat a VetHFY? Life Mender's voice through the translator sounded sharp. This is highly disrespectful. I mean no disrespect, Alan said quickly. On Earth, our different types of doctors develop different kinds of expertise. Veterinarians often discover medical techniques that help humans later because they must understand many different biologies, not just one. Life Mender conferred with the other VetHFY doctors in their clicking language. Their scales changed colors rapidly as they communicated. Your medical approach is based on your evolutionary path, Alan continued. But sometimes fresh eyes see solutions others miss. Dr. Martinez has saved species that other doctors couldn't help. After several minutes of discussion, Life Mender turned back to them. Stellar Whisper is highly respected among our people. She has mapped 27 star systems and made first contact with 2 other species. To allow her to be treated by a doctor of non-sentient beings would be unusual. The alien paused, looking at Stellar Whisper through the glass. However, as you say, she will not survive without intervention. We have exhausted our knowledge. If there is even a small chance this specialist might help, we cannot in good conscience refuse. Alan felt a wave of relief. Thank you. Dr. Martinez can be here within hours. We will observe all procedures, Life Mender added firmly. If at any point we believe the treatment is causing harm, we will stop it. Of course, Captain Frost agreed. While they waited for Olivia Martinez to arrive, Alan gathered all the data they had on Stellar Whisper's biology. He sent it ahead so Olivia could review it on her flight. The government had arranged a military transport to bring her to the ship as quickly as possible. In the medical bay, the VetHFY doctors continued their monitoring of Stellar Whisper. They had stopped their death preparations but seemed doubtful about Alan's plan. One of them approached him as he worked. Why do you try so hard to save one not of your kind? The alien asked. Alan considered the question. Because all life is connected, even across the stars. Because she came here in peace. And because if humans were injured on your world, I would hope your people would do the same for us. The VetHFY scales shifted to a gentle blue. That is a wise answer. Perhaps. Our peoples are not so different after all. Dr. Olivia Martinez arrived on the horizon 5 hours later. She was a short woman with curly brown hair and quick, confident movements. She carried 2 large cases of equipment and wore a look of focused determination that Alan recognized from their college days. When you said you were working with aliens, I thought you were making a joke, she told Alan as they hurried toward the medical bay. Then the military showed up at my door. Thanks for coming so quickly, Alan said. Stellar Whisper doesn't have much time left. I reviewed the data you sent. Fascinating biology similar to reptiles in some ways, but with major differences. Olivia shook her head in wonder. I never thought my first extraterrestrial patient would come so soon in my career. When they reached the medical bay, the VetHFY doctors were gathered around Stellar Whisper. Life Mender turned as Alan and Olivia entered. This is Dr. Olivia Martinez, Alan said. She's the specialist I told you about. Life Mender's scales shifted to a cautious yellow. You are a doctor of non-sentient creatures? Olivia met the alien's gaze steadily. I am a veterinary herpetologist specializing in reptile medicine. I've treated over 200 different species and developed new treatment protocols for endangered animals. She set down her cases and approached the glass separating them from Stellar Whisper. May I examine her? After a brief pause, Life Mender nodded. You may enter the chamber. We will observe. Olivia put on a clean medical gown and gloves before entering Stellar Whisper's room. She moved with care, studying the alien's condition. First, she looked at the monitoring equipment, then gently examined Stellar Whisper herself, careful not to disturb the VetHFY medical devices. Her scales have a similar structure to Earth's monitor lizards, Olivia noted, but the underlying circulatory system is more complex. She looked up at the VetHFY doctors. May I see your scans of her internal organs? One of the aliens operated a device that projected a three-dimensional image of Stellar Whisper's internal structure. Olivia studied it intently, occasionally asking questions that the VetHFY answered through their translators. After nearly an hour of examination, Olivia stepped back and turned to Life Mender. I believe I understand what's happening, she said. Her system isn't rejecting your treatments because they're ineffective. It's rejecting them because her immune system is overreacting. Life Mender's scales rippled with interest. Explain. In Earth reptiles, particularly large monitor lizards, we sometimes see a condition where injury triggers an extreme immune response. The body essentially fights itself along with the treatment. Olivia pulled up images on her tablet. See this pattern in her blood cells? It's similar to what we call a cytokine storm in Earth animals. The VetHFY doctors gathered around her tablet, their eyes blinking rapidly as they studied the images. What would you recommend? Life Mender asked, scales now a curious blue-green. A two-part approach, Olivia said. First, we need to suppress the specific immune response that's blocking your treatments. Then we need to enhance her natural regeneration abilities. She opened one of her cases and removed several vials. I've brought medications that might be modified to work with her biology. For the next several hours, Olivia and Life Mender worked side by side. They combined Earth medicines with VetHFY healing technology, testing small doses and carefully monitoring Stellar Whisper's response. The other VetHFY doctors assisted, their initial skepticism giving way to professional curiosity. Alan watched from outside the chamber, amazed at how quickly Olivia had adapted to working with alien biology. She had always been brilliant, the top student in their program, but seeing her collaborate with alien doctors to save a life was beyond anything he could have imagined. Look at this response, Olivia said, pointing to a monitor. Her cellular regeneration rate has increased by 30%. Life Mender's scales brightened. The neural pathway degradation is slowing as well. By evening, they had developed a treatment protocol that seemed to be working. Stellar Whisper's condition had stabilized, and some of her minor injuries were already showing signs of healing. Life Mender approached Alan outside the chamber. Your friend is very skilled. The approach she suggested was not in our medical database. That's because she had to invent new treatments for Earth reptiles, Alan explained. Some of them were nearly extinct, and no standard treatments existed. The alien scales shifted to a respectful purple. We had never considered that our medical knowledge might be limited by our own evolutionary perspective. This is a valuable lesson. Inside the chamber, Olivia was preparing a final infusion of medicine. She carefully mixed it with a glowing blue liquid that the VetHFY had provided. This should complete the treatment, she said. Now we wait. They moved Stellar Whisper to a new chamber that combined elements of both human and VetHFY medical technology. The air was kept warm and humid, similar to the tropical environments where Earth's large reptiles thrived. VetHFY healing crystals provided gentle light that seemed to comfort the injured alien Dot as night fell. Alan found Olivia in the ship's cafeteria, eating her first real meal since arriving. "You were amazing today," he told her, sitting down across from her. Olivia smiled tiredly. "It was the most challenging case of my career. But the VetHFY doctors are incredible once they got past their initial resistance. Their understanding of cellular structures is far beyond ours. Do you think she'll survive?" "I think she has a good chance now," Olivia said. "The treatment is working better than I expected. Her biology is remarkably resilient once we got past the immune response issue." Alan nodded. "Just like a Komodo dragon." "Similar, but even more advanced," Olivia corrected. "The VetHFY have some biological adaptations that would be revolutionary if we understood them better. Life Mender has already suggested an exchange of medical knowledge." Alan smiled. "So your veterinary career might now include aliens?" "Why not?" Olivia laughed. "Biology is biology, whether it evolved on Earth or a planet 40 light-years away. The principles are often the same, even if the details differ." They were interrupted by Dr. Wendy Patel, who rushed into the cafeteria with an excited expression. "You need to come to the medical bay," she said breathlessly. "Stellar Whisper is awake." They hurried back to find the VetHFY gathered around their crew member. Stellar Whisper was indeed awake, her eyes clear and alert. Her scales had regained some of their iridescent quality, shifting with gentle waves of color. The translation device beside her bed activated as they entered. "The human doctors," came the mechanical voice. "I wish to express gratitude." Alan felt a surge of emotion. Just days ago, they had thought she would die. Now she was speaking to them. Life Mender turned to Olivia. "Your treatment has succeeded beyond our expectations. Stellar Whisper's vital systems are stabilizing. Her body has begun to heal itself." "It was a team effort," Olivia said. "I couldn't have done it without your knowledge of VetHFY physiology." "Perhaps," Life Mender agreed, "but it took your outside perspective to see what we could not." This collaboration has opened new possibilities in VetHFY medicine. As they spoke, Stellar Whisper's scales rippled in what appeared to be a gesture of agreement. Through the translator, she said, "Different eyes see different truths. Together they see more clearly." Alan couldn't help but smile. In trying to save one alien life, they had created something even more valuable, a bridge of understanding between two very different worlds. 2 weeks passed aboard the Horizon. Each day, Stellar Whisper grew stronger. Her scales regained their bright colors, and she began to move around her chamber with increasing ease. The treatment developed by Olivia and the VetHFY doctors continued to work better than anyone had expected. Alan visited Stellar Whisper every day. At first, their conversations were simple, limited by the translation device. But as she recovered, the VetHFY provided an improved translator that captured more of the nuances of their language. "Tell me about your world," Stellar Whisper asked him during one visit. She sat upright now, her 6 limbs arranged in what Alan had learned was a comfortable resting position for VetHFY. "Earth is very diverse," Alan explained. "We have oceans like the one your ship crashed in, but also mountains, deserts, forests, and ice-covered regions." "And many different animals?" she asked. Her eyes blinked with interest. "Millions of species," Alan said. "That's why we have specialists. Like Dr. Martinez, some doctors focus only on humans, others on different animal groups." Stellar Whisper made a soft trilling sound that the translator didn't convert. Alan had come to recognize it as her version of laughter. "On our world, medicine is only for VetHFY," she said. "We have animal keepers, but not animal doctors. This idea is new to us." Life Mender and the other VetHFY doctors had embraced this new idea with surprising enthusiasm. They spent hours with Olivia, learning about Earth's approach to treating different species. In return, they shared knowledge about VetHFY biology that fascinated the human doctors. Captain Frost had reported all these developments to Earth's governments. The diplomatic teams were excited about the positive direction of this first contact. Plans were already being made for official meetings between human and Vexery leaders. One morning, Alan arrived at the medical bay to find Lifemender waiting for him. "Stellar Whisper is fully recovered," the alien doctor announced, scales glowing with a happy yellow light. "We will be returning to our ship tomorrow." Alan felt a mix of happiness and sadness at the news. "That's wonderful, but we'll miss her and all of you." Lifemender's upper limbs made a graceful gesture. "This is not an ending, but a beginning. The Vexery Council has sent a message. They wish to establish an exchange of medical knowledge between our peoples." "Really? That's amazing." "Yes, Dr. Martinez has been invited to visit our homeworld to teach at our medical academy, and I have been asked to remain here as the first Vexery medical liaison to Earth." The news spread quickly throughout the ship. That evening, Captain Frost hosted a small celebration in the Horizons conference room. Humans and Vexery gathered together, sharing food and stories. Though the Vexery couldn't eat human food, they brought glowing fruits from their ship that they displayed as a symbol of friendship. Stellar Whisper was the guest of honor. She moved among the humans with confidence, her translator working smoothly as she spoke with everyone who had helped in her rescue and recovery. When she approached Alan, she carried a small box. "For you," she said, opening it to reveal a crystal that glowed with a soft blue light. "This is a life debt token. It is rarely given, even among Vexery." Alan carefully took the crystal. It felt warm in his hand, and the light seemed to pulse gently with his heartbeat. "In your language," Stellar Whisper continued, "you might call it friendship, but among the stars it means much more. It means we are connected beyond distance. It means we see beyond differences to find common ground." Thank you," Alan said, deeply moved. "I'll treasure it always." Olivia joined them, smiling at the exchange. "So you're going to be teaching at an alien medical academy," she said to Stellar Whisper. "How does that feel?" "Exciting." "Frightening." The alien's scales rippled with emotion. "But necessary. Your knowledge saved my life. It may save many more." Lifemender approached with Captain Frost. "We have received word from our council," the Vexery doctor said. "They have proposed a permanent interspecies medical exchange, a place where doctors from both our worlds can work together and share knowledge." Captain Frost nodded. "Earth's governments are very interested. They've already begun discussing possible locations." "And they want you to lead it, Alan," Olivia added, "as the first human liaison." Alan was stunned. "Me? But I'm not a medical doctor." "No," Lifemender agreed. "You are something equally valuable. You are one who sees connections others miss. You found similarity between species from different worlds. This perspective is essential for the work ahead." The next morning, the Vexery prepared to depart. Their large ship had moved closer to Earth, visible from the Horizons observation deck as a silver point of light against the blue sky. Stellar Whisper said her goodbyes to the humans who had saved her. When she came to Alan, she placed one of her four-fingered hands on his shoulder. "I will return," she promised. "There's much of your world I wish to see." "I'll show you everything," Alan said. "The deserts, the forests, the animals you helped. You understand better." As the Vexery shuttle lifted off from the horizon, Alan stood with Olivia and Captain Frost, watching it rise into the sky. "What do you think will come of all this?" Olivia asked. "Something wonderful," Alan replied, the life debt crystal warm in his pocket. "Something we couldn't have imagined a month ago." Captain Frost nodded. "First contact could have gone very differently. If you hadn't thought to call Olivia, if the Vexery had refused our help, ... double quote. But they didn't," Alan said. "They were willing to set aside pride and tradition to save a life. And that made all the difference." In the weeks that followed, Alan found himself at the center of a whirlwind of activity. The proposed interspecies medical exchange quickly became a reality, with funding and support from governments around the world. The Vexery sent more of their doctors to Earth, each eager to learn and share knowledge. Lifemender became a familiar face on news broadcasts, explaining Vexery culture and biology to fascinated human audiences. Olivia prepared for her journey to the Vexery homeworld, studying their language and customs with excitement, and Alan, with his life debt crystal always close by, worked to build something new, a bridge between worlds that began with the simple desire to save a life, no matter how alien it might be. 6 months after Stellar Whisper's crash, the interspecies medical exchange opened its doors. Built on a small island in the Pacific, not far from where the alien scout had first arrived on Earth, it featured laboratories and teaching spaces designed for both human and Vexery use. On opening day, Alan stood at the entrance with Life Mender beside him. Above them, a sign displayed words in both human languages and Vexery symbols. Different eyes see different truths. Together they see more clearly. As humans and Vexery filed into the new facility, Alan thought about how much had changed because of one decision, the decision to try something unexpected, to look beyond conventional wisdom to find a solution no one else had considered. Sometimes, he realized, the greatest breakthroughs come not from seeing others as reflections of ourselves, but from recognizing the unique wisdom that comes from our differences.